This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
Hey, welcome into another episode of the Fantasy Roadshow. This episode is brought to you by Rule One Proteins. If you're looking to get back in the gym or just looking to re-up your supplement game, check out Rule One Proteins. They got the best protein on the market. They also got the best supplements, best vitamins, you name it, they got it. Go check them out at www.rule1proteins.com. You guys know the drill. My name is Truck. I'm joined as always by Culls and Shane O'Mac, and today we have a special guest for everybody, Houston Texans own Jared King. Jared, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great. Appreciate you guys for having me.
King, what's going on, brother?
What's up, man?
Thanks so much for coming on. King is an awesome human being. I met him through a college friend. Recently got to see King a couple months ago, and we were just kind of connecting on what's been going on, and both hopping into the sports podcasting space. So it was only a matter of time, and super excited, to have Jared on, introduce what he's going to be working on in Houston, and kind of get into it from there.
Yeah, man. Well,
we're just jump right in, I guess, and tell everyone, your background, where you're from, and kind of what you're up to now, and what you're going to be working on.
Okay. Well, I grew up most of my life in Louisiana with a mutual friend with Mike Aaron. Grew up there, played football over at ULM a little bit as far as my sports background. Ran a lot of track, played a lot of football at a school, Riverfield Academy, actually. And those are my years around 18, 19. Then had an opportunity to come and approach a music outlook over here in Houston. So me and a friend came over and explored all the venues and checked it out and did that whole scene, for a little while. And then during that time, I had came across a couple buddies, new friends, and they got me into the Houston Texans because I really never followed the Saints. I was more into just college football at the time, and they got me into it. Went to a game. The rest was history as far as a fan. I said, that's it. I'm a Houston Texans fan from now on. And I was blessed enough to be during not the real early years, but around 2012 is when I became a real fan, and I had a lot of opportunity to see Andre Johnson, Arian Foster, all those guys. So that was kind of my start. So I had a little bit of maybe a little spoiled as soon as I got here, because we had Schaub and them. They were kind of popping on all rounds. And then we've had some rough years, but of course you guys know we're on a high right now. But just been in the area, and me and a few friends, same guys with the Texans game, started doing this 3J Sports, and we do a lot of the covering Houston sports, Rockets, Astros. Obviously had a great year last year in Astros. But
in the last 10 years?
Yeah, we've been rocking and rolling as far as the ring, the main ring there. We had to get that other one.
Yeah, so, 17 was that first World Series championship. So closing on a decade. I don't know if did the Blackhawks go full decade in Chicago. That was our most recent dynasty. It's so fun to be a part of and just be in the mix every year. So a Chicago podcast, we have a big off season with the Bears. We've talked about that a lot. Obviously this past season, for Stroud and the Texans, it looks like they're going to be in the mix for the next 10 years. So we could be seeing a lot of you, King, and a lot of Bears. Truck's the big Bears fan of the podcast. So, hopefully
the Bears.
Hopefully in the next few years, we get Bears Texans Super Bowl. But actually, Truck and I were talking about going to Houston for the Texans Bears game next year. And if that's the case, King, we may have to
give me a shout, man. I got plenty of room.
Yeah, we might have to get together there. I didn't know that you played college football.
Yeah, I played over at ULM, man. I was a receiver. I played there a year, and then found other opportunities to take on. But yeah, I had a blast, man. Played with some good players. Got knocked around a lot, but it was a good time.
Wait, did you just say you played receiver?
I was watching.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So what's your frame? What's your 6'2"?
I'm 6 foot. I was 188, but I was blessed with some speed, and with the track side, I was the state champion of the 100-meter, and
nice.
I ran a 10.6 and but I was a solid 4.5 40. When I was rocking and rolling. But I had a lot of opportunity in Shreveport. Got to work with Doug Peterson at Calvary Baptist a little bit, and that was a great time. If you're familiar with John David Booty and all them, their little brother was actually the quarterback there, and that was a really good experience, to be honest with you. But yeah, I got to do LSU stuff and check all that out. But yeah, man, all the younger years, it was a good time playing sports. That's for sure.
I didn't know you played ball at ULM. That's awesome. So I've known King now, gosh, over 10 years. It's so crazy to age us like that. We've always talked sports, gotten along extremely well. He's obviously a great guy, but I think of King as
Appreciate it, man.
I think of King as a musician first. I'd love it if you could give us something there on that end here for the pod as well.
Yeah, you want me to hit something right now?
Yeah, give us give the roadies something, King.
Let me see what I got here.
Let
me see what I got here. Pull something up real quick. Let's see here, man. I think I can. Oh, what do you know? There's a guitar right here, man.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Every guitarist, right?
What you know? Where's that flute? Right up my sleeve.
Every guitarist conveniently has it.
How's that sound? Y'all hear that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, are y'all ready?
Yep.
Let's go.
But are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for some football? A Monday night party. Yeah, it's Rocky J. King. We about to get the show started. We got the teams on the field and the light up bright. All my riding friends are back for Monday night.
Hey.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Cheers, boys.
Jared, that
Love
was
it.
phenomenal.
Appreciate you, man. Least I can do. Appreciate you.
I love it. So as you noticed, as you heard on the intro, Truck's father is quite the musician himself. He put that together. Tell them the background of how that all came together with the intro music, Truck.
Yeah, so my dad was doing a little bit of I think he was doing some a potential commercial for what's that brand?
Patagonia.
Patagonia, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was going to do a commercial for Patagonia, and they had a bunch of options. They unfortunately didn't go with his option, but he had a bunch of like little 30-second songs or blues clips, and I was like, oh, let me get that. That sounds great. And then the outro too. I'm sure you'll hear the outro at the end of the song or at the end of the episode. That's all original music as well. My dad's quite the musician. He's a guitar player by trade, but he does it all. So
nice, man. Yeah,
awesome.
Gotta love music, man.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
King. I mean, we were just at Max's wedding, and King was playing music until 3 a.m. every night.
Yeah.
Just everyone singing. It's so funny, those Louisiana guys. In Chicago, we there's just like different types of stuff going on. I always tell Max there's different types of things going on and like access to like entertainment, where in Louisiana you guys like are just so good at skills like playing music and survival skills and things of that nature. So it's so funny when they're all together just playing music till the sun comes up. So it's a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah.
I figured you'd like that, Shane O'Mac.
that was it. So I just got turned on, speaking of music, and you'd appreciate this now, Coles, where you're at. Like, I just now got turned on to Shane Smith and the Saints, Austin-based band. Never heard of them, never, listened to them. And a buddy of mine went to their concert, sent me some of their clips on YouTube. He's like, you never heard of this? Listen to it. And so yesterday I found myself in a rabbit hole. Like, I spent an hour just listening to their music online. Just hooked lines. Hooked.
Nice.
Shane likes anything that has his name in it.
Yes.
Well, yeah, let's get it started with some Texans talk. I wanted to I wanted King to intro us into a little Texans football and serenade us a little bit. But yeah, I mean, CJ Stroud, tell us about the buzz in the city. Obviously, trading up last year for him and Will Anderson was a bold move, and it's paid off, I think, better than anyone expected. But tell us about Stroud, kind of the feeling around the city and the optimism there.
Well, man, it's definitely I mean, I'm sure you guys can imagine we're on a high, It's there was a lot of hate, guys like Nick Wright coming out from the start when we made those draft picks. He was trashing it. He's like, a lot of people think this is good. I think it could be a terrible thing, detrimental to them for the next few years, And how about two guys coming out and proving it all wrong? And rookie of the year on both sides. I mean, what else could you ask for from them? They exceeded, obviously, all expectations for the season. With my guys at 3J Sports, we had done predictions and stuff, and I don't think any of us were even close to thinking we would go that far and do it what we did, So we're just proud of the guys, and we know we got a bright future.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. Like, so bringing in D'Amico Ryans, like, kind of reinventing the Texans. You're going to want an anchor on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. And that's the move that they made, that bold move that they made in the draft last year, and playoffs year one. I mean, like you said, I was extremely high on Stroud this year coming to the season, very high on Nico Collins and that Tank Dell connection. I think probably more so than a lot more than industry consensus from a fantasy football perspective. I think we had, like, me and Truck had like close to 50% ownership in Nico Collins for our underdog drafts, just taking an absolute massive share. He was our number one wide receiver, and that paid off. So, like, I thought I was very high on them. Did not. I think probably had them as like 5-win team, something around those lines.
Yeah.
So just absolutely incredible. I don't know, Shane, what do you think from the standpoint of that offense? I'd say let's break it up to offense, then we'll go into defense later. But from the offense heading into next year, what did you like this year? What do you think they can build on and take it to the next level?
So what I liked, you mentioned it briefly, was, and people they seem to forget or don't mention it as much, but that Tank Dell draft choice, I think that was huge. That, he wasn't thought of because of his slight frame, small stature, but, we're in a different time now in the NFL where you do not have to have that prototypical wide receiver size. And he just creates so many mismatches. He can do so many different things with the ball. I think that was just a huge, huge addition for a rookie quarterback. I know they paid a little bit higher for it, but bringing somebody like Dalton Schultz from my team, the Cowboys, I think was a huge move for them, just to have that security blanket for Stroud in there going forward. I think last year, everybody knows what the concern was, and that was running the ball. They had some good stretches with Singletary, kind of that middle to late season. You look at that Cincinnati game on the road as one of those, but running it consistently and explosively, that was probably their biggest weakness.
Yeah, going back to Tank Dell. So that's one of those things where, like, recruiting now, you obviously have access to all the film, but him playing ball in Houston, wanting to stay in Houston, Stroud coming out and being like, this is the guy that I want to play with me. Like, those quarterbacks are so good, and they've been so good for their entire career that they know what weapons they need to make their offense work and them feel comfortable. And Tank Dell was one of those guys. So, I know last season in dynasty drafts, I had targeted him. I got him in the one that Truck commissions. I got him super late just because, like, it's a late round flyer on a guy that the quarterback is going to give the opportunity to win. And that small frame that Shane just talked about, like, that just gives him that edge. He's been small his entire career, and he's used that, and he's succeeded with that. So, taking a shot on a guy like that is never a bad move. Hometown, staying in Houston, and kind of gives Stroud that weapon that he was looking for. So I think Tank Dell's been, again, exceeded expectations. The way that they're using him and just highlight getting him the ball, he's going to be the type of player that they just get creative and get him the ball and let him go as much as they can. So what do you see there, King, with Dell? What type of workload do you think he can handle given his smaller frame? I think, maybe 10 touches a game. Is that something that you see is reasonable? Kind of give us your rundown on Tank Dell and where you see him in the offense.
Well, I guess it just depends on, what kind of moves we make. But just like Shane was saying, we need to make sure we get back Schultz. That's huge to get him in there, to where Stroud can move the ball around. And you don't have to just force the ball to Tank because he's got the speed. But, look at Nico. He came out and did his thing. But Tank is just we love him here, man. When that draft pick happened, my buddy Jeremy, he was like, man, this is a great pick. And Stroud wanted this fella, like you were saying, And sure enough, he did not disappoint, brother. He was just on the field flying around, And it was just unfortunate he had that injuries. And you could see the camaraderie, how much they were hurt, just more than just we lost a guy. We lost a brother today.
Yeah.
We're not going to have him for the rest of the season. And he's worked his tail off to get to here. Stroud was pretty emotional about that. So, he loves the guy and he wants to get him the ball as much as he can. But, they'll have to make sure they're spreading it around, get it to Nico. We'll see how Michi does come into the next year. And, there's possibilities of us trying to draft Adonai Mitchell. I've heard talk of that. But I think Nico can handle the workload because they're saying we don't have a deep ball guy, but Nico really blew it up. I've heard that talk. I don't agree with that. I think Nico's great. I love Tank. Michi's going to get in there and start tearing it up. And we still have Robert Woods too. Don't forget about him.
Yeah, I think from the pass catching standpoint, they're probably good. Tank's the guy that they're going to try to get the ball, playing that slot role and just getting creative. Nico Collins stretches the field, but he's also a possession, like third down receiver, possession type guy. I think Mechie's going to be the guy that I target in that offense from a fantasy perspective next year. Everyone's going to be all over Cotton Nico and everyone's going to be all over Tank Dell. There's not going to really be any value there, but I do think it's going to be a high-powered offense, and I think Mechie looked really good towards the end of last season.
Yeah.
So, he had an entire year off of football from a wide receiver that matters, just from like speed and timing. So he kind of got caught back up. It looked like towards the end of the year, it was catching some balls and getting some yardage. So from a fantasy perspective, Mechie's the guy that I'm going to be targeting most on that offense. So the thing that I think about Dalton Schultz is that he's that veteran that they needed, that like guy to keep the huddle composed, in that you have a rookie quarterback with two young weapons and really need like a veteran presence in the huddle. So I agree that like he's kind of like the glue guy, if you will. I don't know if that's the right term to put him at, but Truck, what do you think there with Schultz, with the pass catchers, as I just mentioned, and kind of what that looks like going into next year?
Yeah, for me, it was so funny listening early on in the offseason, listening to everybody talk trash about the Texans wide receiver core as a unit, saying they're the worst. They're not. I saw one short of a little clip of somebody pretending to be CJ Stroud throwing balls into dumpsters in their yard. It was like, this is what's going to be happening this year, and to be so far from the truth, it was great to see, and to see Dalton Schultz, in my opinion, was a great fit. I really do hope you guys re-sign him. I think he's a pivotal part of that offense. But for me, Nico Collins was a big surprise. I love to see that. Tank Dell, after that first game of him popping off, I was like, dude, this guy is going to be phenomenal. I remember I talked to Mike that first week. I'm like, dude, this guy, Tank Dell, is something special. And so
well, here's a funny story. Truck and I sold Truck on Nico Collins and Tank Dell. He had just drafted Stroud in his dynasty league.
rookie,
and I was desperate. I was desperate for running backs, and I was super deep at wide receiver. So I was like, hey, Nico Collins and Tank Dell, I'll trade you both of them for Rachaad White. And Rachaad White was like, from a dynasty perspective or from a fantasy football perspective, his like analytics, his numbers weren't great. So everyone just hated him. And I always thought he was a pretty good runner. Like, he just looks good. He's an athletic running back, has been since Arizona State. So I needed a running back. I knew he was going to have opportunity. So we made I made a hard sell on Nico, pairing him with Stroud in a dynasty league with Nico and Tank. And it's worked out obviously amazing for Truck. Both of them are going to be highly, I don't know their rankings, their industry consensus from a dynasty wide receiver, but they're both probably top 25, top 30. And then obviously Rachaad White had an outstanding year. So it was a win-win trade for both of us, but I thought that was a pretty funny.
Right in the beginning, right when I accepted that trade, I had buyer's
so
remorse.
mad at me.
I was so mad. I was like, I can't believe I made that trade.
He wouldn't talk to me for like a day.
I was very mad at myself for pulling the trigger, and then now at the end of the season, I couldn't be more happy. I was like, I got CJ Stroud, I got Tank Dell, Nico Collins. Heading into this year, I couldn't be more happy. So, but other than that, offensively, what I found to be pretty wild was Dameon Pierce. His rookie year, Dameon Pierce was very effective on the ground. I think he had like 4.5 yards per carry his rookie year, and then he comes out this year and just completely can't adapt to the new offense. Or like, Jared, what is your explanation of the downfall of Dameon Pierce and what happened there?
Yeah, basically, I have a question mark next to him because we need to we'll see what the future holds, but Singletary is going to be a free agent, and he did really, really good for us. Of course, there's different scenarios of how they could pick offensive linemen, interior defensive line, corner, running back. Not sure what D'Amico's plan is, but in D'Amico we trust, that's for sure.
Yeah, but outstanding.
But Pierce, he only pulled out 416 rushing yards this year, and that's about as many as Singletary. And Singletary only had 60 more carries, and Singletary had over 1,000 yard all-purpose. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure what the plan is. I would love. I've always been a Florida State fan. I'd love to see old Benson somehow get on our squad, but I think he'll go to some other team, But I've also heard talk about Bucky Irvin from Oregon being a pickup. So it kind of just depends on what the thing is. But as of right now, I have a question mark next to Pierce because we expect him to do well, but we're unsure.
Yeah. So my question for you, Jared, is so this is a pretty robust year free agency wise with running backs. Yeah. You've got some pretty big names. You've got some younger big names. Would you rather see them go big after a Saquon Barkley, after a Derrick Henry, after a Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler, or would you rather not spend that money and just hit it in the draft?
Well, me and my guys at 3J, Jeremy and John, we talked about how we're good with getting a Saquon. If that can happen, I would say Stroud and Saquon Barkley that offense would be insane. I would love to see it. Just kind of depends on the plan, but I would not mind. I would not mind Saquon in Houston at all. He would be a great addition.
Yeah,
I wonder if you guys, the Cowboys getting Henry. I've heard a lot of talk about that, but not sure how that's going to go.
There's talk about that, but Jerry likes to get that news out there any way he can. So when it comes time to paying the piper, it rarely happens. So as a Cowboys fan, I get the saying we're used to is we like our guys. That's his saying. We like our guys. So he rarely goes out and spends on the free agency side.
One of the first things I said this offseason was the Texans need to go get Saquon. I just think, like, to be honest, they probably could win a championship without him just because of Stroud's, like, we've seen him in games where Leighton, like, he's just not scared of the moment. So he's passed every single test this year, and it just looks like he is that guy. You know, I think originally my concerns with Stroud was like he played in a cupcake Big Ten and just like didn't really need to be on at all times and like could take games off. So he made poor decisions and bad throws against like a shitty Nebraska team or something like that. Well, he adapted and showed that he can play at the NFL speed almost immediately.
Yeah.
And then you put him in big moments, pass. He's beaten some of the best teams in the league. And then like you'd see him come back on fourth quarter drives and him just march down the field and score touchdowns all season long. I know like professional bettors were just fading Stroud because they're like, it's an anomaly. Rookie quarterbacks cannot do this at the level that Stroud's doing it. So you probably can win a championship without adding a Saquon. But I just think while you have this rookie contract window, why not take the defense to that complete next level and spend at the running back position now while you can, and just make that offense that much more dynamic. Saquon can catch the ball from the backfield. He can handle 30 touches a game. So that just gives, you know, that attention you were talking about taking away from Dell. That's 30 touches right there. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I think he would make it an extremely dynamic offense, and I would love to see that. If you miss on Saquon, Josh Jacobs is a running back I think would fit there, because at the end of the day, you need a guy that's going to run the ball, right, to open up that passing game. And Jacobs shown that he can do that on some pretty bad Raiders teams. Put him on a contender, and I'd love to see what he could do.
Oh, yeah.
Another guy we didn't talk about who I wanted to mention from the pass catchers, Brevin Jordan. He's a weapon too, man. Like we saw him have some big plays. Truck, are those your cats meowing? It's so funny.
I have my windows open and some dog is just going ape shit out here. So I'm trying to keep my mic down.
You're good. I was hearing the howling in the background of my Brevin Jordan take. I don't have much to say about Jordan other than he's shown that he could be a big playmaker, which is huge because you have a Schultz who can be a possession type tight end, red zone threat for sure. Shane knows more than me about how you can get creative in your usage with Schultz. However, Brevin Jordan, if he could be a change of pace tight end that comes in and catches passes, and you can draw up some big plays for him, just being an athletic big man, that's, you know, again, just another layer to the offense that they can get creative with Stroud's arm talent.
Yeah, he had a rundown. I'm not sure exactly which game it was, but he busted one open down the sideline, and we got to see his wheels that day. Everybody was like, where did that come from? You know, so he could do some damage on the field, you know, feed him the ball.
Yeah. And then what about Noah Brown too? Noah Brown's going to be a free agent. And once Tank Dell got injured, Noah came in and had a couple massive games. I know I picked him up in a couple leagues. I was thoroughly impressed with him, but you think he's gone? He's definitely not coming back, or what do you think there?
I think personally, I think he's not coming back. A lot of guys say drops. You know, I'm not sure of how many drops he had this year, but I know that's been kind of a thing on his negative side. But yeah, like you said, he did explode for us when we needed him most. You know, and everything he did for us, I do appreciate, but I'm not sure if he'll be coming back, in my opinion.
Yeah, makes sense.
I don't think they need him, to be honest. Like with Mechie, just the way that Mechie started playing towards the end of the year, he's going to be the 3. I mean, he was such a good player at Alabama. Having him as a 3 is not a bad place to be. And then you, of course, have Robert Woods, who they'll probably split out wide as well, and then move Mechie into the slot. You can just get really creative with who they have right now.
I mean, even Hutchinson gets some great catches, you know, crucial coming across the middle. You know, you need those guys, and we got a lot of guys.
For sure.
Well, speaking of that, what kind of, outside of the draft, free agency wise, outside of, I know we talked about Saquon Barkley coming in, What other moves do you think the Texans need to make, free agency wise on offense, in your opinion?
Well, offensively, as far as the interior, offensive line, I know there's definitely, like I said, a question mark with Pierce. It's a question mark with our Kenyon Green. He's been a kind of a bust for us on our interior. So I'm not sure where we're going to go with that. I know we got a lot of guys coming back, but as far as the lack of development and their, years of being together and all that kind of stuff with CJ, we're looking for him to, open holes for whichever running back we want to keep or bring in, but as far as the tight end, the Schultz. Yeah. But I mean, I think our offense is pretty set up. It's just making, like Mike's saying, if we can get a Saquon, it's going to be dangerous.
Yeah.
Very dangerous, which I hope it can happen, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The offensive line, I don't know the numbers. I honestly didn't look to see where they finished in terms of offensive line efficiency, but like I imagine that was a lot of the Singletary success. I know Tunsil is obviously like one of the best in the league,
right.
But to me, just like without looking at any kind of statistics or any analytics behind it, I think of the Texans, again, offensive line overperformed and are probably in a pretty good spot moving into next season. So yeah, I don't see the holes on offense. I think it's either, I agree with you, Jared, spend for a Saquon or a Jacobs. Maybe solidify if there's a lineman spot that you need to kind of take care of a contract and tie down to make sure it's stable and you have the same group of guys, or upgrade at one spot, but everything seems to be pretty set in stone there.
And I've heard a lot about we got the money to make moves right now to win, and and we can, as far as the draft, fill the spots where who's the best man up. If there's a great corner to take him, if it's the offensive lineman, take him, whichever one's the best, pick at the time.
Yeah.
Because we got a lot of moves we can make. I think it's not just one track. Oh, this is it, or But I think if we can make something work out, it'll be nice, man.
Yeah. So I heard you say development. I want to talk about a guy, a little Baton Rouge guy, whose development this year on the defensive end. Is he one of the best corners in the league now, Sting?
Man, I love him. I know that. he's picking all. I mean, he's just doing his thing out there, man. And I mean, all the corners, I really do. I like them all. But yeah, Derrick, he's been out there handling business. Josh Thompson doing his thing, but unfortunately, Steve Nelson and King might be taking off. So that where the void comes in, where we might need to take a corner. But I do know everybody's got their eye on Ladarius Sneed. I know that is a huge guy out there.
Well, did you hear the reports today?
I didn't. I do know the cap got extended and all that. So
Xavier Howard is a Houston guy. And he has expressed he wanted to be in Houston. The team has not responded to that at all, but he's obviously one of the more talented players in the secondary that we've seen sign a big contract with the Dolphins. Dolphins kind of just like blew up in my mind. They were looking so good, and then things just didn't ever really come together. So he's looking for a home, and Texans were at least Howard came out and said that he would come play. So I mean, maybe they get a kind of a discount there with Howard, and that'd
be great.
That would sure things up back there. But yeah, I mean, you have Petrie. Stingley was outstanding this year. Yeah, so defensive side of the ball, you could probably add. What are they look? Do you know what they were looking to add there on defense? Any position in particular?
Well, besides the corner spot, like we were saying, a few guys leaving, they might be able to make whichever key free agents they want to keep on the team. But man, I'd love to see Sneed, but just depends on the money situation. I do know that the interior defensive line is a big deal right now because we're losing rankings, I believe. We're trying to re-sign him, but him and Collins combined for about 11 sacks last season, but we really need to have that replacement or bring him back. So we need another D tackle in there. But I mean, that defensive line it did well. I mean, Will Anderson, that fella, if he wasn't getting sacks, he was disrupting the play. And they just played well this year, but just got to make a few moves and get those holes filled in.
Yeah. So I was just looking out of curiosity. Houston is sixth most cap space in the league this year, $73 million. So they've got the money to spend. I mean, they could.
Oh yeah,
you could go a Barkley, a Jacobs, and one of those defensive guys. Whether it's probably Snead, who you'd want to target because of his age, but.
And that's kind of the look. I mean, we have our, with the drafts, it's like, should we pick up another receiver, or should we spend the money on the running back, or spend some money on a corner, because there's so many flashy receivers in the AFC. We need to cover them. We need somebody to cover these guys. And if we can have offense all day, but you got to get those, on the outside, that's where all the magic happens. You better have it covered. You got Tyreek or Chase coming downhill. Good luck.
Yeah. Let's talk about the division for a little bit, because Jaguars heading into last season, everyone thought like, oh, this is the Jaguars division. There is really not a lot of optimism for any other team. And then you see the Jaguars have the season that they did. I talked about potentially some of that could have been Trevor Lawrence's injury being a little bit more serious than it actually was. I don't know. I just think he's too good of a quarterback to have a down year last year and then that trend continue. So how good is the Houston fan base feeling right now about that division, and what kind of stranglehold they have on it?
Yeah, the Jaguars, it was just such a crazy end of the year, right? I mean, it came down to not being in the playoffs and then winning the division. It was kind of crazy. So I guess it just depends, like you said, with the Colts, they're going to be healthy. The Jags, they're going to be all healthy, and it's just about battling it out and making the right plays, of course. But it's going to be an interesting year because, I mean, all these quarterbacks look pretty good. Richardson was it concussions? I'm not sure what kept him out for the rest of the season.
Concussions, plural.
Yeah,
no, his shoulder.
Yeah,
his
shoulder.
Shoulder.
Sure.
Yeah,
but I mean, ultimately, I think we have the best offense. I mean, the defense, I think we can hold it down, fill the holes. It's just coming down to execution and performing. And D'Amico, I know, has a plan. I mean, as soon as we got him, Seth Payne, I was commenting with him and said, man, in D'Amico we trust. He said, I absolutely agree. That is what we all feel right now. So this team has a different, from the fan standpoint, it feels like they are brothers, truly, not just guys out there making money and doing their thing. These guys are really, the camaraderie is amazing to see. And the offense and the defense, not just, anything, it's all together. And bringing in these guys and these leaders, and they came in and they've just blown our expectations away, man. So we're looking forward to taking on everybody and winning the division again.
Yeah, Shane O'Mac, what do you think about this division heading into next year?
So, yeah, I think, Indianapolis got pretty close, with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. So I think they're going to be right there. People forget about Jacksonville, because they ended up third in the division, but I think they started off 8-3. I think they were. And then when Trevor started getting his injuries, and so I think it's going to be one of the tighter divisions between those three teams. I don't think Tennessee's anywhere close with Will Levis playing quarterback there. But I mean, I think the biggest thing for Houston, and maybe in Houston, it's being talked about a lot, but man, retaining Bobby Slowick as coordinator of that offense was huge. I really thought he was going to get more looks at head coaching opportunities coming from that tree that he does, that coaching tree, and his creativeness on the offensive side. But that had to be huge for the fan base down there.
Oh, we were blown away. I mean, we were all kind of, you want him to do well, but we were crossing our fingers that, he didn't take off because we like him. And we want to keep this team together, keep everybody together. Let's keep this rocking. And that was definitely our best off-season win, number one right there, was getting him back. And shout out to Andre Johnson, Hall of Fame. That was great. That was our other man on the that was great. The Chris Carter deal, man, that was beautiful. But yeah, Bobby Slowick, man, we're just glad to have him back, and we're really, really pumped for the new year, man.
I can't believe we got through an entire offensive conversation without Shane O'Mac bringing up Slowick.
I know. I'm mad at myself that I did not mention that earlier.
I really can't believe that. I was
like,
golly, you said Slowick, and I was like, wait, Shane O'Mac's a big Slowick guy. We'll say that.
Yes.
Yeah, he's great, man. We like him.
Yeah. So I can't believe I didn't think of Slowick there either. And one thing that I thought of when his name came up was like that brotherhood that you were speaking to. I think he has a big role in that. I just think him coming back, I don't know if it was him not getting a job or him being pretty like in these interviews being pretty like it's going to take everything for me to leave the Texans. I just feel like he loves and sees something so special in Stroud. It probably all goes back to Stroud. Like everyone around him is like, holy shit, this guy's special. Oh, yeah. We want to be a part about that. We want to be a part of his success and we want to, grow something here. Because it is that special. So I think Slowick sees that. He probably knows what he has, and Stroud is incredible. And I mean, he's going to be a head coach in the NFL, right? Like I think we can all agree on that. He's probably just sitting back, didn't see any of these opportunities being the opportunity for him. Maybe like if the Chargers gave him a run and he could go with a Herbert, that would be something that would make enough sense for him to leave. But I bet you he kind of was pretty clear that it's going to take the right situation and really everything that I ask for me to leave this special Texans offense. So anyways, I just wanted to make that point about Slowick.
Yeah, I'm sure just as much as it's fun us watching him, I'm sure it's fun coaching him. And
are you kidding me?
That offense.
You kidding me, man? All that hard work they put in, you heard from day one with Stroud that he was first guy in, last guy out, extreme leadership, and just like a veteran presence walking in his rookie year. Every report, I'm sure you guys heard it more than, but it even leaked through to the national news that was like, this guy is making a crazy impression, literally in training camp. His interview skills and just his confidence level in the locker room, I know it's contagious, and it's just. And Will Anderson came in with them, and them guys are just two peas in a pod, man. They're bringing the energy with D'Amico coming in. Seth Payne just commented and said the atmosphere is completely different. JJ Watt said the same thing. I mean, yeah, JJ, love you, JJ. But yeah, it's the atmosphere is good. These guys are excited, and we're ready to rock and roll, man.
Well, and don't forget, gosh, do you remember all the big hoopla about his Wonderlic score after the combine? Like how much that blew up, about how bad it was, and can he sit there and process pre-snap? And there was just so much for a week there after the combine, so much about that negativity towards him because of that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because as all the fans, we were, with that pick, are we taking CJ? Is it going to be the Bryce Young, towards the end of the year? And we ended up getting that win. And it kind of put our destiny in the Carolinas' hands, to make their pick and we get the next guy. And talk about that huge win that everybody gave a bunch of crap about to Lovie Smith, Love you, man. I appreciate it. Keep those guys trying to play, man. Yeah. And, but what a blessing, Lovey. Appreciate you, man. That win ended up changing our freaking future. So hopefully we keep this rolling, man.
Yeah, I think you got to shout out Tepper as well, because Frank Reich was very excited to have CJ Stroud come into his team, and then Tepper was just like, nope, Bryce Young.
Yeah, I know we're going with that guy.
Yeah, I wanted to get Shane O'Mac. So Shane is a southern boy in Wichita, Kansas, and I was hoping to back him into a corner where he had to tell you that he's a Colts guy, because Shane O'Mac is a big Shane Steichen guy. I know you're high on Anthony Richardson in your rankings. You think things are going to work out there. So would you say the Colts are the biggest threat to the Texans, or let's make Jared sweat a little bit. It can't just be all sunshine and rainbows there this offseason.
Yeah, so I would say right now I would put them as the threat, because over Jacksonville right now, I have to I am a believer in Anthony Richardson from a fantasy, from an NFL standpoint. I think he, much like other running quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts, Steichen coaches him out of taking hits, how to protect himself better next year. I think Michael Pittman comes back. I think you probably see them either through the draft or free agency add a second receiving weapon there on that offense.
I think Downs is great too.
Downs is I think he's a 3. He's a great 3 to have. You get a full season of Jonathan Taylor now this year. So I think that it's going to come down between the two of them. Probably just maybe like last year, even to where it comes down to those last game or two in the season.
Yeah, I feel like that's how that division always plays out. Regardless, it finds a way to be super competitive at the end. Truck, we've been letting you take rest over there, but we want to hear what you have to say about this division. Give us kind of your ranking next year. I know pretty early on you were like all over the Texans. There was one point when Truck was so frustrated with the Bears, he texted me like, should I become a Texans fan?
Well, I'm an Ohio State fan, so CJ Stroud was always a big favorite of mine, and then owning them all in Dynasty, it kind of was pointing me in that direction. But this division for me, it's interesting this year, partly because you can kind of throw the Titans out the window, losing Vrabel, and that whole team kind of has a giant question mark around it. So to me, I don't think they're really going to be able to contend between the Texans, the Colts, and the Jags. But I do think the Jags get a lot better this year. I think they need to answer some questions in the draft and in free agency. And if they do so, between those big 3 teams, you guys are going to be duking it out all year. And I could see any one of them winning the division. But for me, from what we saw CJ Stroud do at the last second and fourth quarter, when the game matters, game on the line, making those big plays, we've seen him do that time and time again this season that I haven't really seen from Trevor Lawrence on a regular basis or from Anthony Richardson for the lack of injuries or whatnot. But I would give the Texans the upper hand. I think they're the favorite. I would definitely be picking them as of right now to win the division. But you got to watch out for the Colts and the Jags, man. They will be hot on your heels.
Truck, can we get you to say you think they're going to win the Super Bowl too?
I might put a future bet on the Texans winning the Super Bowl. We'll see. Well, I got to wait till the draft.
Do it before Saquon
agency.
I
should, yeah.
Do it before the Saquon news.
Sorry, King. I was gonna say I don't want to say we've had one thing. We don't want to sound like a lot of the Cowboys fans saying this is our year. So we want to stay relaxed, stay humble, let the thing process and go out as we and see how.
Well, it's hard not to. It's hard not to after the year you guys had. It's guys
exciting.
And to be honest, I want to give you props the way that you talk about the camaraderie with the team, and you're saying in D'Amico we trust. As a Bears fan, I do not trust Eberflus. I cannot say in Flus we trust. And hearing you talk about your coach like that just makes me realize, wow, I have blind faith in the Bears that until we get a better coach.
Truck, as a Bears fan, but also as a romantic. That touched you. You got to get a little emotional with Truck and sell him on that, and he'll jump.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Jared.
With open arms.
I tell you what, Jared. When I go to watch the Bears Texans game and hang out with you and Mike, we might be figuring something out there. So I might grab a jersey, might grab a hat.
There you go, man.
Next pod after that, it'll be a whole new story. So we'll see.
I love it.
Oh yeah.
So that's Texans for us. I want to talk a little bit about a fantasy. This is a fantasy football show, Jared. We're the Fantasy Road Show. What's your fantasy football journey look like? What is your current portfolio look like, if you will? Give us a rundown on you and fantasy football, your relationship with fantasy football.
Well, I got into it probably about 8-9 years ago when I finally dipped my toe in the waters and see what it was about, and fell in love with it. Ended up getting way too many teams at first, but then started narrowing in and ended up pulling off 2 championships in a few leagues, and then but trying to play every year. I've been in the championship a few times, but just doing your best in the draft. I mean, it's doing what you can and picking up waivers and all that, the waiver wire, of course, and just hopefully the cards fall where they may, and it's favors on your way.
Yeah, are you playing in like friend leagues? Is it work? Is it where do you find the leagues that you're playing in primarily?
There's two of them right now. I do one with my boss over at work, and it's about I think it's a 50-man league, give or take. He's got it's basically you have to play 2 games a week, and he mixes it up. It's a huge payout at the end, but that's a pretty large one. I want to say we do that through Fantrax, and which is a little bit different. I had to get used to that, but we do the ESPN one, of course, that I do with a couple of buddies, and always love that, man. But didn't pull this one out this year, but I got kind of close. But it was pretty tough. We did the top 4 teams out of a 12-man. But yeah, I'll shoot my luck next year, see what happens.
You didn't you didn't get last place and have to do the Waffle House challenge at all?
No.
That's blowing up right now. I saw the guy Scott Hansen from Red Zone.
Yeah,
he's loving the Waffle House challenge for the loser. 24 hours spent in a Waffle House. Every waffle you eat, you get to take an hour off. So the person that went viral on Twitter was in there for 12 hours. And he said that he wants to do a red zone of all the different Waffle Houses with people doing the challenge. So we'll see what happens there.
Well, let me ask you a question. Where do y'all see Stroud in as far as fantasy rank and quarterbacks? Y'all think he's a top 5 guy now? Or I know he was in that 8 to a little bit outside of 10 and worked his way in a little bit towards the end of the year. But what do y'all feel now?
Shane, take it.
Yeah, I have him at 4 in my early rankings. So he's definitely top 5 for me. Just because of what we saw as a rookie, his offensive weapons are going to be back and only maybe potentially better. Weak running game, which is great for fantasy for your quarterback. So, yeah, he's in my top 5.
Yeah, we all have him as 4 in Dynasty, now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, Mahomes 1, 2. These two have Hurts at 3. I have Herbert at 3 and then Stroud. So, yeah, I mean, he just shot up. He's been outstanding. His age and then how good he's looked. He's definitely going to be all over. He's probably the most interesting like dynasty draft pick in conversation is like how high has Stroud risen? So a lot of people have him as QB3. But yeah, I think I am going to put you on the spot, King. We are doing some listener leagues this next year.
Okay.
And we might have the 3J Sports guys. We might have to ask you guys to co-own a dynasty team. We're going to be doing a podcast dynasty league, and we want people that are going to be engaged. We're going to be creating content throughout the year about it. So if you and your boys haven't gotten involved in dynasty yet, I would suggest looking at some rankings and seeing if you'd be interested. But it's so fun because it's a true GM. Like you're drafting a team for the length of, for good, and then you're making you're being a true GM where you're making decisions at the trade deadline. Like, am I a buyer? Am I a seller this year? Constantly looking to improve your team for the future. So we're looking for guys that are going to be committed, that are going to be paying attention to their teams and always trying to get better. And I think it would be perfect to have you guys join the league and we can create content. And, if we have a big matchup, we can have you on that week and talk some shit. It could be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that sounds interesting, man. Give me a holler. Let me know when it's going down.
Yeah, I think it's going to be probably NFL draft is that next week after NFL draft is probably when we'll get everyone kind of organized and get the wheels in motion there. So yeah, just throwing that on your radar.
One last question I had for you, Jared. Does it give you just some sad, and Cole will smirk at me for even asking this question. I know he's going to give me crap about asking this. But does it just give you a little bit of satisfaction and the people in Houston just seeing Deshaun Watson flame out like he has?
100%, my friend. I mean, we always wish everyone well, so even as those situations happened. But we are very blessed in our situation right now, and we couldn't be happier. That's for sure. We do wish the Browns all good luck, but we're just very blessed. We're happy with our situation. That's all I have to say about that.
You're much more nicer than I was, because it would just thrill me to no end to see one of my guys trade and just not do good.
There's a Coles conspiracy tied to that whole situation, but I don't think it's good for air right now. So
yeah,
I think there is. I'm not giving up hope on Watson. I think he has a bounce back year.
Yeah, I think he'll do well. Just getting in the system, and I mean, he did play for a pretty long time, so it's
the system
being
works.
In shape and then football shape, as Jerry Rice
yeah.
used to say.
Yeah, if Flacco can step in and play like the way he did towards the end of the year, the system clearly works. It'll be interesting to see when Chubb comes back there. We don't need to end this episode talking Browns. We don't need to end this episode talking Browns.
Good call.
Well, I will say this. We are excited, too, on the draft night. The Texans we're unveiling a new uniform that we're doing this year. So
really?
We're keeping the emblem, but we're changing our uniforms.
Okay.
I have to say, I do love your guys' uniforms. Those reds.
That battle red looks sharp on the Stroud out there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Well, awesome. Let's I guess one other thing I had to talk about, Houston Rodeo. Did that just get started this past weekend?
The cook-off has begun.
Shane O'Mac, this is like the biggest barbecue cook-off, I think, in the United States.
Wow.
One of the bigger rodeos. It probably is the biggest rodeo in Texas and in the United States. Down in Houston, they have country singers. I don't know if Shane Smith and the Tallywags, or what did you call it?
And the Saints, I believe.
Oh, the
Saints.
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 Shane Smith and the Tallywags.
Are you going to be going to any of those? I know there's some good country singers coming through. If you're planning, looking at the schedule, and planning something.
I've gone to the events in the past. I've been lucky enough to see Santana, Kings of Leon. But, man, I saw George Strait, and now I'm good. I ain't got to go back to see anybody else right now. But it gets pretty hectic down there when you deal with that traffic, and then just because it's a carnival outside, the rodeo happens, then you got your concerts. But it's a whole lot of people, and it's sometimes good if you get some free tickets rolled in there, but you won't catch me buying any tickets and going.
Yeah. Well, all right. I had a blast with you, King, as always. We will be having you on throughout the season when things kind of get rolling. Really, I mean, if Saquon signs one of those, if there's a big splash, we're going to be calling you up and seeing if you can get on. So, definitely talking, spring training, but as always, great talking to you. I will keep you in the loop, maybe make a little Houston rodeo trip here in the next month or so. But if not, you'll be seeing Truck and I, Bears, Texans for sure.
Oh yeah.
It's
y'all got first pick, right? Bears?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with it, but
no Fields, y'all done with them?
We talked about this quite a bit in the last episode.
Okay.
I would love to keep Fields. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think they're not going to pass up on Caleb. Resetting the clock.
We're not letting you play both sides here, Chuck. We're not letting you play both sides.
I'm not playing both sides. I'm just saying.
All right. If it was up to you, would you keep Fields then?
If it was up to me and I'm making the decision, I'm keeping Fields.
Yes.
But I don't think the Bears are going to do that. I think the Bears are going to draft Caleb and they're going to trade Fields.
So the fantasy truckers, perfect world, fantasy world. You were keeping Fields, and what else? Tell me.
And we're trading the pick, and we're getting a haul. We're trading down, trade down some more, get as many picks as you can.
You got to be more specific. You can't just say we're going to trade down and we're going to trade down some more. What are we trading?
Trading down, there's so many possibilities. There's so many teams that need a quarterback. Trade down to 2, draft, pick up Marvin Harrison. You could trade down to 6, grab Romo Dunze or Malik Neighbors. Grabbing a wide receiver is crucial in this draft. and then loading up on the D line and offensive line, a center preferably, but I'll take a tackle. Anything like that, the Bears are in a better spot. The defense is phenomenal right now, and if they add a few more pieces, which I think they will, we're going to be – that game in Houston is going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah.
There you go, King. You got your answer. Trading down out of one, keeping
All right.
Fields, getting a legendary haul, building around him in Fields Trucker trusts.
That's what I would –
Get the game plan ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Chuck, sign us out, bud.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for watching, listening. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and please let us know in the comments what you think the Texans should do in this year's draft and free agency. Let us know if you think we're right or if we're wrong. Go check out 3J Sports. Jared King, going to be. Is that live yet, or is it not live?
We'll be publishing on Spotify and stuff. I'll let you guys know if y'all want to get together and let you know throughout the season.
All right. And what's your Twitter handle?
We don't have an X handle right now, but we'll
X.
see if we can get on there. Formerly known as Twitter, of course.
Formerly known as Twitter. Okay, fair enough. Just be on the lookout. I'm sure once you do set that up, we will be retweeting some of your stuff. So
awesome.
Follow us on all the socials and whatnot. But
I got
Cole,
one
did
thing
you want to say? Go ahead.
I did, yeah.
Go ahead.
In real time, this happened. Chris Chelios retired his number in the Blackhawk for the Blackhawks tonight. All the Hawks in the house, Rodman in the house, Eddie Vedder, big to do in Chicago. Patrick Kane is back playing with the Wings in the house for this game, and he just walked it off in overtime. Kaner game-winning goal for the Red Wings.
Right
That's
on.
about right. That's about right. Didn't he have his 800th career assist or something like that? It was crazy.
He's an absolute legend. But
having
the Wings walk it off in overtime when Chelios retires his number, that's not great. But that it's Kaner. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
The ovation he got was electric too.
Of course it was.
Shout out to my guys, Jeremy and John, 3J Sports. Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Be on the lookout for 3J Sports. Other than that, everybody, you know what to do. Buckle up.